Object-oriented programming is exactly like the name says. It is programming that focuses on objects. Let me explain it to you in simpler terms, in the way that I have come to understand and think about object orientation. In object-oriented programming, you see everything as objects that can interact with each other. Look at object-oriented programming as its own little virtual world. There are characters in this world that can interact with each other, and those are the objects. As an example, look at the animated movie Wreck-It Ralph. In this movie, you have characters of old arcade games interacting with each other. They also interact with their game worlds. Object orientation works the same way. It is a way of making abstract concepts more concrete. In procedural programming, you have functions that manipulate data. With object orientation, you have objects that interact with each other in certain ways. They have pre-programmed ways to interact with each other and the environment. An object can have attributes or properties. They give more details about their objects. Then it has methods that specify how it interacts with its attributes and other objects. To explain it in a more concrete way, I decided to pull out my daughter's Lego and give you an example of object orientation with Lego. So let's say, for example, you have a Lego figurine. As you can see, this is just little parts. It's hair, and we've got legs, there's a body, and there's a head. So all of these separately don't really mean much. But if you look at it in an object is little pieces or parts that are put together to make up an object. So as you can do that, you can say all these little pieces of Lego all make an object together. So then you can have a method on your object to tell it how to put itself together. We've actually got a little cape here as well. And there we go. So you've even got a cape that goes on like that. And then you have a head. I'm sure all of you have played Lego at some point or another. So there we go. And then you've got a hair. And there you've got an object in a more concrete way. So as part of this object, we can also have a method to tell it how to put the whole object together, as I just did. So now that I've showed you what the object would look like in real life, let's go look at some Java code where I can show you what it would look in code form. So here in Java, you have a class called Lego Figurine. You can see I've given it a name. These are all attributes on a method. An object can also be made up of other objects. Like in our Lego figurine, we've got a head, which would be another object. You can see I created it here, but there's nothing in it at the moment. It's just for sample purposes. But you'll have a head, head covering, upper body and lower body. They're all separate classes, but it's all part of the same object. You can also see it as Lego figurine has a head. Sometimes in object orientation you'll come across to has relationships, and this is what they look like. And then I've also added a build method. So this is what a basic object-oriented language class would look like. An object-oriented language consists mainly of classes interacting with each other by calling specific methods on those classes to manipulate them in the data. Even the standard library classes in Java works in the same principle. Here's an example of a program in Java that adds strings to a list and then loops through the list to print the values on the console. Here I've created a simple Java application just to give you a sample of how the object orientation would work. You can see I've created a public static void main method here. That's how you normally run your program in Java, with that method. Here we've created an array list which extends the object list and tells Java that it contains a list of other objects. Now all objects in Java extends object. Now you can see here we've created strings. This is how you specify a string. and added them to the list by calling the method add on the list. So I've added all these strings, and then with a for loop, just iterate through the actual list and then print out the item on the screen. Now if you want to run this application, you can run it, and as you can see down here, this is how it displays the string on the screen. This gives you a bit more of an idea of what an object-oriented language looks like and how it works. If you have any questions for me, please leave a comment below and let me know what you think.